Hey, it's Andra, sweeping my hair back here. Hello, welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great big subscribe button below right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you find the content useful, helpful, insightful in any way, shape or form, or you just want to give this channel some light love. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. In a moment, we're going to be celebrating my 9-year free from abuse anniversary. But until then, if you didn't know who I am Sandra Mary, author of this awesome Asexual Perspectives 47 Asexual Stories book. Writing is my hugest life passion. This was the first book I published for Asexuals in 2017, and I'm currently working hard to get my second book for Asexuals finished as soon as possible. I'm also the author of Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook, which is all about how to manage fibromyalgia to have less pain, more energy, and feel happier like a superhero rock star. So if you want an alternative way of managing fibro, or you just want to live a more happier life with less anxiety and depression, then this is the book for you. And so tonight I am celebrating my 9-year free from abuse anniversary. So 9 years ago, back in 2011, I had been in a long-term relationship with a guy who was abusive, and he wasn't abusive sexually, so that was the only way in which he wasn't abusive. So I'm very, very grateful for that, because obviously there's a lot of people who say, oh, well, you must be asexual because you've had sexual abuse, so you know, in your past, something bad must have happened in terms of sexual abuse, that type of thing, you know? And that's the reason why you don't want sex, right? I'm asexual because I lack sexual attraction, right? I don't want sex because I lack sexual attraction, but I've had it in the past. This particular guy, I was in a long-term committed relationship with in total for 8.5 years. And yes, I did have sex with him. And he was the best person I'd ever had sex with, even though he's abusive in every other way. So, and I had sexual abuse years ago before I met that person, but the sexual abuse didn't stop me having sex. I actually thought I was heterosexual for years because I mistook my high levels of arousal for sexual attraction. And I didn't realise that there was a difference. But I never looked at anyone and thought, or any guy I was with thinking, I want sex with you, because it just didn't happen for me. And so my long-term ex, yeah, it was difficult relationship. I was with him for 1.5 years. We split up for 6 months, and then I got back together with him, which really I should never have done. I was back with him for another 7 years. So 8.5 years in total. And you know, I was just so happy when he finally left. It was about 2:27 or something like that in the morning, I think it was. And on the 5th of November 2011, and he finally left. Yes, he did try to come back, but I didn't accept him back this time, and I'm so glad that I'm not in that prison anymore. It's like being in prison when you're treading on eggshells all the time, not knowing whether they're gonna hurt, you know, you physically. Well, they're mostly mentally and emotionally abusive rather than physical, but physical, they did you know, pin me up against a wardrobe and stuff like that. So it's something I don't really like talking about, but you know, it happens to people. I think it's important to talk about it, and I think it's important to celebrate the fact that you're free of that type of thing, you know. And I'm so glad. I'd rather be single forever than be with the wrong guy. I don't want to be with a guy ever again that has emotional outbursts or anger, and you can't speak to the person, you know. That is not a loving relationship. True loving relationship that's healthy requires a lot of deep communication. You'd be able to share your feelings, exactly how you feel and think about anything and everything. You shouldn't be living in fear of the other person, you know. And the problem with that type of relationship is it makes your body go into fight or flight mode, and anything that crops up in your life in the future that's similar scenario or similar feelings to that just puts your body in that kind of fight or flight overdrive mode again, you know. And that becomes a natural response for you. Now, you might have heard me talk about the beginning of Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook. Now, a lot of people don't understand why people have fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia is a chronic pain condition that affects the nerves and muscles of the body. Effects like, for example, I get pain in my neck, down my shoulders, in my arms, down my back, down my thighs, but I try not to think about it. I try to block out the pain using the power of my mind, which takes a lot of kind of willpower and mind segregation, if you like. And but it's not just that, it's to do with the foods I eat. Like, I eat a certain food ingredient literally does make my pain a lot less. And I live a very interesting, quirky, individualistic lifestyle. I live like a teenager and I love it. And with fibromyalgia, you have to literally limit as much pain as you can in your life. So this means limiting stress in your life, limiting anxiety in your life, because otherwise it just manifests itself in your body as pelvic pain, as body pain, and it just makes things like 10 times worse than they already are. So it's very important. It's very important that if you do get into a relationship, you make sure you get someone who understands your fibro and how it affects you. Because fibromyalgia is created usually, it's in the body through abuse. That's how you get it. Some people have different types of abuse. It could be a mental abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, or it could be like you've given birth to a child and it was traumatic childbirth, and so you'll have pain in your body. And basically what happens, I've learned more and more, is kind of the energy of the pain at that time stays in your cells. And so that's how your body can remember the pain years ago and can continuously have that. So yeah, so like sometimes my old injuries come back as though they've just happened. So it can be very weird, a very strange condition. I think anyone who's asexual, who's got a disability anyway, I think, if you're looking to get into a relationship, you really have to explain all your disabilities and stuff to another person. But if you've been in an abusive relationship, it can make you very anxious about going into another relationship. And I do have relationship anxiety. It's my worst type of anxiety, most of my other anxieties I've kind of reduced a lot. And the fact I live on my own is really good for my anxiety, because it means I can manage it really well. I don't have another person to think about or worry about. Thank you for the thumbs up, lots of love. And so that's really good, but it takes a lot of guts to be able to finally have someone leave your life who's been a major influence, even if they weren't any good for you, and actually fully stay away from them. So with my ex, who I'd been with a total of 8.5 years before they left, I had to have them make the decision to leave me. And the reason for this was when I first split up with them, they stalked me and it was just horrible. And I did get back with them when I shouldn't have done, but it happened. And so I wanted to make sure that they would leave me. I wanted them to make a decision, because by making the decision, then it would be harder for them to come back in my life. They did try though, but they didn't succeed. I let them go completely, and they tried really bad emotional tactics like hurting themselves and stuff like that, and it just didn't work anymore. And I think you have to get to the point in a relationship, if the relationship's dead and there's nothing you can do about it, is to get to a point where you stay so strong that you can separate. And so it took me 18 months to 2 years to get over that relationship. It was very difficult, and I don't like talking about it, because on my channel I can talk about that person quite a bit, because that was the last person I actually had sex with. And when I talk about it, sometimes I get flashbacks and start thinking about them. But it was a very bad relationship. I was under a disillusion for years that this person would change and go back to the way they were when I first met them and be their nice, kind, caring self. And the only time they were like that is when we actually had sex. And that's why I did have it with them, I think, because it's like I got to see the loving, caring, really putting me first side to them. I never saw the rest of the time. And being free, when you leave a relationship like that, you have a lot of trauma, you have a lot of pain, you have a lot of upset. Even though they're bad for you, you still have feelings for that person. They don't just go overnight just because that person was an a-hole, basically. And so it takes a long time to get over that, to get the grief out and stuff. And so, especially when you thought that, I did at one point think they were my soulmate, and they definitely weren't, and so it's very difficult. And, you have to take a long time to heal. And, sometimes from the past, things come back again and again, so it can be difficult, because you have to give yourself time to heal and try to get over that, but you can't deny the fact that it's impacted your life to a certain extent, you know, like I'm a lot more cautious now of who I get into a relationship with, but I have done a pattern changing course, which I'd highly recommend to anyone. So it was like a year later, no, 2 years later, 2013, I think, 2 years later, when I did a pattern changing course, which is all about basically, well, I think, well, as it was November 2011, I think I did this one in beginning of January 2013. It's kind of a year and a few months, really. And it was called a pattern changing course. It was like a 12 or 13-week course. I think it was 12-week course. And basically it teaches you how to look for patterns of abusive people. So if you meet someone, there's loads of criteria that you can use to kind of assess whether this person's going to end up being abusive towards you or not. And that course has been invaluable to me. It's been one of the best things I ever did in my entire life, you know, because I can recognize patterns of abusers and guys that are abusive nowadays, which I couldn't do before. Actually, it's made me recognize it, that sometimes I can see a lot more abusive people, which it gets quite scary, because when I was doing the abuse course, they said that 1 in every 3 people you meet is going to be abusive. And so even in my old job, I could see some guys when they were, I'm not saying it's just guys that are abusers, because it's not, but I could see some guys in my old job, the way they talked and they were with women and talked about women, I could tell they were abusers as well. So it's kind of like really, really difficult, because, you know, you need to be aware for yourself. But then when you become aware, you find out how many abusers there actually are in the world. It can be a bit scary. You've just got to know that not everyone's like that. You know, I've got 2 really, really amazing, beautiful best friends. I see, you know, I've got also an Indian asexual homo-romantic friend who's a beautiful soul as well. So, you know, there are people out there that are having the beautiful souls, that are having love and softness in their heart, you know. And I think it's important to know that there's people out there that aren't abusive as well. I know 2 asexual guys that are messaging me at the moment as friends, and I don't think either of them are abusive. They don't come across that way at all whatsoever. So none of the characteristics, you know, show through. So that's really good. But it can take a long time to know someone, you know. And I think the problem with love and attraction, even if you're asexual, it can be very, very pulling, you know, and you can be blinded by someone's flaws, and you can be blinded by the reality of the situation, especially on the internet. Like, if you don't know a person, if you've not met them in person, then you can't really tell for certain if they're a good person 100% or not so much, you know. Especially if you're looking to get into a relationship, because it can be a lot more difficult when you get into a relationship. You know, you are around each other a lot more, you're in each other's spaces a lot more, you're in each other's faces a lot more, you're in each other's lives more. Now, if you're really healthy, 2 healthy people, and you're having a loving, caring, committed relationship, and you're able to, like, say when you need space and, you know, talk things through, and everything crops up, you're able to discuss, and that's great. But if you're the type of person that's goes in relationships and, you know, like, keeps themselves to themselves, doesn't say what's really on their mind or how they feel, that becomes very unhealthy and can cause a lot of problems in relationships. So, you know, it's very, very important that if you've been in an abusive relationship, that you do take time out for yourself, and you do something like a pattern changing course that can help you, that so you don't repeat the same thing. You know, if I get with any guys that are wrong for me, I get rid of them very quickly out of my life, you know. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't, like, before I used to, like, really find it hard to walk away, but I find it a lot easier to walk away now. And even if it's hard to walk away, I still do it, you know. I have to walk away from people who aren't abusive as well. They're just no good for me to be in a relationship with. Not every person I come across that I'm interested in is abusive. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you just have to walk away for your own good and their own good. But, you know, it feels so nice to not have that mental prison, that kind of, like, you know, emotional torture going on. It feels nice to be free. I love living on my own. I much prefer it than living with someone. When I got back with them after a year and a half, I told you I split up with this person. 6 months later, I got back and never ever went to live with them. I came here. And I don't really want to go into all the ins and outs of the relationship. I want to park that, you know, but it was not nice. I was treading on eggshells. I didn't know, you know, I didn't know what I could say, what I couldn't say without a person blowing up and being horrible to me. And aggressive. So it's not nice, you know. But the trouble is, they're not like this with other people, because that's what abusers like. They do a lot of it behind closed doors, and they make out to the rest of the world they're wonderful. And so that's what's really difficult, you know. They can have loads of people fooled. But you just have to remember to love yourself as much as possible, and that the time shall pass. I knew I wouldn't be with that guy forever, and I'm just a lot happier on my own now. You know, I don't want a situation where I'm ever in that situation again. You know, that's why I prefer to live on my own, because sometimes you just don't know what a person's going to be like in years to come. You don't know if they're going to change. You don't know if they're going to decide they don't want to be with you anymore than if you live under someone else's roof. You know, they might even be abusive. They might just know that the relationship's not working out. If you go to live with someone else, then they hold the strings to the house. If you were like, it's a lot harder to walk away because you've got nowhere to live. I absolutely adore living here. It's very good for my mental health, very good for my emotional health. And, you know, and I just love being here. You know, I moved this place to get away from them and to have a sanctuary and home for myself. And I felt the safest I've ever felt in any place that's leaving my parents' home here. So I really do love it here. I feel very blessed I was able to get out of that situation. It's a very bad situation for me to be in, you know, like treading on eggshells and being in fight or flight mode is no good. And that's why I believe I've got fibromyalgia. The cortisone levels in your body when you're in fight or flight mode all the time really heightens. And when your body is in a prolonged state of cortisone, basically, it just is no good for it. It has a lot of damaging effects on the cells of the body. So, you know, if you are in an abusive relationship right now, please get out of it as soon as you possibly can. I know it's going to hurt you. It really is, because just because you haven't abused them, mean to say you don't care about them. It's usually because you care about them too much. They stay because they know they can get away with stuff, sadly, which is why you have to learn to walk away. But it's not always that simple or easy. I know. So, but I just wanted to say I'm so happy that I've been 9 years free from that mental prison and torture, and free to just be me and relax and live my life, you know. It feels so good, really good. And, you know, 9 years is a wonderful thing. You know, I haven't had a serious committed relationship since then. You know, I'm very weary about getting into a relationship, even though I'd like one. I haven't met the right guy yet. You know, I need someone who's besotted with me in a healthy way, someone's kind, caring, gentle. I like boy next door types, you know. And I like younger guys as well. This person was younger by 3.5 years than me, but he looked a lot younger than that. But he was British. So I still would like, ideally, to be with a foreign guy, ideally Indian. I still really love to find my asexual Indian soulmate. It would mean the world to me. And, you know, I don't give up on love. You know, after I've had that abuse, you would have thought I give up on love, but I don't, because I believe in true love. I believe, like, even if I've had a bad situation in the past, I believe not everyone's like that. Not every guy is abusive, because I've got friends who are guys who are not abusive, you know? And I think if you've had a really bad situation in your past, if you had abuse, you've just got to hold your head high and know that you did your best you could do at the time, and that you will find someone good for you if you want to be in a relationship, you know? And the only person that can stop that from happening is yourself and, you know, the person who hurt you. But you have to learn to let go. I mean, it helps with time. As time goes by, I'm able to let go of that person and the way they treated me a lot more. I'm able to move on with my life a lot more and look forward to a wonderful future with a loving, caring, committed partner, you know? And I never give up hope, you know, because if you give up hope of finding a good guy, then you won't get one, you know? So I believe, you know, I have a kind heart. I love with all my heart. I care about a person. I care about you and my community as well. And I just know that if there's someone who I'm looking for out there, there's bound to be someone looking for me. I'm here. So yeah, I'm so happy to be free of abuse for 9 years. It's a really big triumph for me, because it's very easy for people without realizing it who have been in abusive relationships past to get into another one and not get out of it again. It's a very bad pattern cycle that's hard to break. So I'm glad I've broken it. Anyway, I'm gonna love you and leave you for now. I'm gonna go and watch a movie to celebrate and eat some popcorn, I think, because I deserve it. It's my celebration. But I think I've done enough work today. I've been working on an asexual article today, which I finished, which was for another website on my own. And when it's published, I'll give you more details about that. But yeah, so that made me feel really happy and at peace in my soul today. I felt so good. absolutely adore helping asexuals. It's just my whole life's work. I so love it. I love you being here. I really wish you the best always. I wish you to stay free from abuse. And I wish you to be happy always. And always celebrate your wins, however big or small in life. Because you're damn well worth it. Until next time, embrace your quirky and each other's. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Share it with all your friends or anyone who may benefit from it. Don't forget, like I said, to subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live and I'll post a new video. I'll see you on the next video live stream. Lots of love. Mwah. Lots of love.